Hello and welcome back to Sly 2 Band of Thieves, where we'll be looking at some extra bonus features in-game and various topics that I just like to bring up for the hell of it. And I suppose to begin with, we have the episode select menu, which I've actually never shown in the whole series so far, but you know, it's that whole immersion thing, I guess, or something. Interestingly, in that previous picture, you might have seen there that in the PS3 version, it's kind of badly cropped. I'm not entirely sure how this occurred, but let me show the picture again and show you what I mean. You see on the left side there, the road on the sidewalk is just kind of not connected right, and it seems to be very... It almost seems like the road was redrawn, but they didn't redraw the entire thing because they knew that the game was going to always be played in a 4x3 format. Oh, how wrong they could be. Speaking of the 4x3 format, I guess it's kind of interesting to see on the right side. This is not me cropping the video badly. The right side really just is cut off like that because the artwork on the episode selection just isn't that long and they couldn't really extend that part, but I'm getting very sidetracked here. This isn't really what I wanted to talk about. I want to just kind of start off by, well, I guess showing the episode menu, but first of all, on the top we have Watch a Movie segment, which is kind of interesting, except it isn't. Here you can watch the different animated cutscenes throughout the game, and we start with the prelude, and then we go on to episode 1, the setup, and the getaway. These two titles stick throughout. Every single video here is, aside from the prelude, every single video in this is the setup and the getaway. Even the last one, even the end of the game is just called the getaway, even though it wasn't really about getting away. It was actually, we were actually kind of getting towards danger and things. I don't know. But those movies are not very interesting and we've seen them already. But what if you wanted to watch something that you haven't seen yet? Well, Sly 2 got you covered. If you go on to select few episodes, and I believe episode 1 is one of them. Waiting for a few seconds, you will eventually see... Wait for it. Yes, this police sign. Press the square button, and we have a secret movie of some sort. I believe that's actually, like, its official name, if it even has one, a secret movie. Even though movies are supposed to be like 40 plus minutes long or something, and this is clearly not that long, as evident by the video length. But these videos that you can see here, which are available on select few episodes throughout the game, they can be viewed as soon as the episode is complete, I believe. But there's a weird thing about them. Okay, I'm not going to show every one of the videos, I'm just going to be showing this one while talking over it. There isn't any dialogue or anything, so don't worry too much about the audio, I guess. One reason I'm not going to be showing all this is because the video you're seeing now is actually the only one you can see in the PlayStation 3 version. And I believe it also applies to the Vita version, but I haven't tested this myself. In the PlayStation 2 version, there are videos for episodes 1, 3, 5, and 8, if I'm not mistaken. That's on the top of my head, so it could be wrong. But they were left out of the PS3 version, and I think it was an accident, because the police badge that pops up, like you saw a minute ago here, it does appear for the other episodes. But once you click the square button, it just sort of reloads the episode selection screen. It doesn't actually show any sort of movie, so I feel like it's just sort of an accidental oversight of some sort, but I don't really know. But if I were to show all of those, I would take forever anyway. Now, as for the purpose of this video, I believe this was actually aired on TV as a commercial for Sly 2. And one thing I think is really interesting about it is that it clearly uses the Sly 1 art style. I don't know if you noticed, but the art style has changed a little bit since the previous game, and it used to be a lot more angular and based on straight lines like it is here. You probably noticed, for instance, the little scene that they ended up using in the game for the transition to the episode select menu. The car is actually very slightly differently drawn, which I think is pretty interesting. As for the other videos that I'm not showing, well, the episode 8 bonus video is actually just the credits, if I'm not mistaken. And the other ones are kind of interesting behind the scenes stuff, so it's kind of unfortunate that I'm not going to get to show that because it is really interesting stuff, but I guess it's incentive to play the game yourself or look it up online. That was a pretty fun movie. I like it quite a lot, and I even like how the end of this kinda resembles the end of this game. I don't know, it could be just coincidence, and it likely is. But that's just one of the little things I want to talk about, and not even the most exciting in my eyes. However, I do believe that from now we might be able to find this. No, it's not available in the watch menu. Watch a movie menu. That's kind of strange. I would have expected it to be so, but Whatever. As another very minor thing, and this is very minor, but I noticed sometime, I noticed in the Canada missions, that all the different countries have different coin designs. Which makes perfect sense when you think about it, but I seriously didn't notice it until playing through Canada in this series. So just for the fun of it, in case there's anyone else who hasn't noticed that themselves, I'd like to show off what the different coin designs are. On Arpeggio's blimp, it's not really associated with the country, so instead the coin design is just an A. A for Arpeggio. That's very vain. Canada, of course, as I've shown before, uses a maple leaf. Oh, and as a side note, I don't know if I've said this already, but Murray is completely non-playable in level 4. Even after you saved him, you cannot use him in this mission, which is kind of strange. I don't know, I wouldn't expect that to be the case, but I guess it sure is, and it honestly doesn't matter. Anyway, Prague boasts a lovely spider icon for its coins. India has this kinda tigerish kinda thing, I guess it is. It kinda looks like a tiger, I suppose. By the way, if you're thinking I'm skipping some countries, I'm really not, because the different episodes that have the same countries in them obviously also have the same coin symbols, so just because I'm skipping episodes, I'm not skipping coin designs. Lastly, way back in Paris, we have... well, I didn't really show it well enough, but here's probably some. What? Well, whatever. It was a weird symbol. Here we go. I don't really know what this is supposed to represent, but I'm going to call it the Wind Waker swirlies, because Wind Waker has a lot of those swirlies, and that's cute, I guess. Well, we're back here in Paris. I mean, first of all, it's kind of cool to be back here because it's been so long, but also, Peacock sign is still down, and I love how the blue sparklies are still here, and if you can do it just right, you'll be able to actually, like, stand on this. For no reason. You can't climb on the, like, ceiling here, just go, like, witch walk or anything, even though the full moon is clearly out, but... you can, however, go down in the well and find that it has nothing. So you cannot re-enter Dimitri's battlegrounds under any circumstances. You'd think those were all the coin designs, but we have been to one more country that I nearly forgot about myself. All the way back in the beginning, we were in Egypt, in the Natural History of Museum. And indeed, it has its own coin design, being this thing. I'm not actually certain what this is supposed to represent, but it's a coin. Also, as a little side note, I was actually informed by a friend of mine how these pole pillar things here that are supporting these things here that you walk on. My vocabulary is very limited, okay? Supposedly you can take out a bomb and do that! I had no idea you could do this, but this sure is a way to get on the top here very easily, I guess. Very nice. He actually mentioned this to me while I was still playing in Paris, and I kind of forgot to show it, and I keep forgetting about it, and well, at least we got it in the end, and that's the important part. The coins are floating. That's nice. Okay. Before getting caught by this, how about Bentley just make his little escape through and get away? Because, well, I guess we can just show the rest of the things I want to show here while we're still in Paris, because there's some interesting properties we can do when it comes to actually, well, again with my limited vocabulary, what does properties even have to do with this? Okay, how about we just go on the ceiling, I guess. I want to bring your attention to the gadget grid. This was not entirely how I expected this to play out, but I guess we're doing it this way. I wanted to show off how the gadget grid doesn't actually fill up all of its slots, and that some people might be bothered by that and going to be all coy about it, saying like, well, what if you could fill it out? Well, yes, you can actually kind of do that. This game, which I did not know until doing some research on it, has cheat codes on it. And you can see the results of a couple of them right here. I guess I'll just activate them and pretend like I haven't done anything yet, and then just sort of demonstrate how you're supposed to do this. Okay. There are 3 cheat codes that you can use in this game, and you can only use them after you've completed the game 100% already, so you can't use them to actually cheat anything. It's just kind of a fun thing that you can do at the end of the game when you don't really have too much else to do. Once the saving icon with the Thieves Raccoonus gives you the number 100%, that means you're allowed to use the cheats. To do so, just go anywhere at all, pause the menu. You need to be a Sly to do this, by the way. You hit the pause menu and you input left, left, down, right, left, right. I did it now, even though I didn't even need to, but you heard a little sound effect there. That means that you've done it correctly. Doing this will give you Tom. T-O-M. I forget what it stands for, but it's some sort of reference to some sort of thing that I have no knowledge about otherwise. However, it's a reference to something or other. That's all I know. It's some sort of Toonami character, I believe, actually. If I'm not mistaken, doesn't the T stand for Toonami, maybe? I'm not even sure, but essentially, he's just a reskinned alarm clock, and when you toss him out, he'll say hey, hey, hey. However, there is actually a second line he can give. On slightly more rare occasion, he can yell peanuts. It's probably a reference, but once again, I don't know it. Second cheat code, same procedure as always, go into the menu and input down, down, up, down, right, left. That's the sound. This is on the D-pad, by the way, I should have mentioned, but I also feel it's pretty obvious. Doing this will give you Time Rush. This is probably the least exciting, and who would have thought that anything could be less exciting than a reskinned alarm clock, but no, it definitely is. This is Time Rush. It's a little bit weird, but what happens is that you hold down the button that you're assigned to, and it works as a speed up thing from the first game. It is completely identical in use in that things are sped up, and that's about it. You are also sped up, and to my knowledge, things like timers and such would also be sped up, so this is not like a speedrunning tactic or anything, or it would be a speedrunning tactic if you could use it, but you kind of can't before you complete the game already, so it doesn't really work that way. You'll notice though, it does drain the special gauge, which is a disadvantage it didn't have in the first game. But in neither game it has the disadvantage of being completely useless. What's interesting though is that once the special gauge ends, the special gauge is now empty, but it's still in effect. So long as you don't release the button, you can have it out for as long as you want, even if the special gauge is completely dried up. As you can see, this even happened now that I entered the got item sort of cutscene. I guess if anything, if I were to now grind money in order to afford the last two moves that I didn't actually buy, this would be a way to make that slightly faster, if anything. But I'm really... Oh no, that actually... Oh, getting hit by the enemy cancelled it. I didn't know that was going to be the case. Well, whatever. That was not supposed to be a hint or anything. I'm not going to bother grinding the money, because grinding money is boring and those moves are useless. But, speaking of useless things, the last thing is not. There's a third G code, as I said. For some reason, it's not been saved on my thing here. Because if you didn't guess what happened, I've tried recording this already and just mistakes happened, and I'm trying to do it again. That's why these moves are still here. I didn't expect them to be, though, because I was informed by the Sly Cooper wiki that these were going to be, or that you would have to re-input the cheat codes for all of them when re-entering an area or just resetting the game or anything. Apparently that happened with the last one, but not these two. But I suppose it gives us the element of surprise or something. I don't know. The last and decidedly most interesting cheat code you can get by inputting right, left, R1, left. That's the sound. This is the only cheat code that doesn't just use the D-pad. And you get the Mega Jump. Indeed, you now have the Mega Jump at any time. How amazing is that? And then you can combine that with the Feral Pounce, perhaps. So what if we just sort of do that? And then we, whoa, paraglide, and then, wow! Wow! I don't know, I'm just being stupid, but it's fun. I love this power-up so much, and I truly wish that this was more than just a one mission / cheat code kind of thing. But hey, at least we got something. Whoa! That was the wrong button, but that's fine because that was dumb. Now, with that, that's pretty much everything I could ever think to show in this game. But that doesn't mean it's everything I have to talk about. I have two more topics I'd like to discuss today, and one of them is the Sly Cooper comics. Again, this is stuff that I didn't really know about until fairly recently, and it was pretty fun and interesting to find out about. There are indeed officially released Sly Cooper comics that, first of all, look really good. They follow the animated cutscene art style, and it just looks perfect. And it's even canon. Both issues are 25 pages long and can be very easily read either on the Sly Cooper wiki or some sort of other external source. I'll link down below the one that I personally used because the Sly Cooper wiki one and the one that I happened to find are actually different publishers. The comics were released by GamePro Magazine and also even DC Comics. That feels kind of badass, I guess. And they are actually, strangely enough, slightly different. I don't know how common this is with comic book publications or anything, because it's not really a scene that I have much knowledge about, but The dialogue is very slightly altered between the two, in very inconsequential ways, but it's different, if you're interested in that sort of thing. To give an example just from the very first page, on the GamePro Magazine version, you'll see that the title of the chapter is The Heart of a Thief, and if you read the dialogue, it's, well, what it is, I'm not gonna bother reading it. Then going over to the DC version, it's called Stealing by Numbers, and the dialogue is basically the same but differently worded. This is what I mean by it being different but not consequentially so. I do want to stress one thing though. I mentioned that the examples I gave respectively were GamePro Magazine and then DC Comics, but I'm not actually 100% certain about this because I've found very little information about the two different versions. The only reason I said what I said is because on the website where I read the comics, it specified the publisher being GamePro Magazine, and I'm inclined to believe it because I have no reason not to, I guess. That doesn't say anything on the Sly Cooper wiki which of the versions there are, unless they're just some sort of, like, trademark prints or something like that I haven't noticed. I'm not certain about that, but again, it's not really stuff I think matters too much. What matters is that these comics exist and they're really cool, and if you want to get the physical copy, good luck finding anything below $150, that's at least what I've found. Perfectly possible to find, but rare and expensive. But wow, talking so much about like pricing and publishers and things, I completely forgot about to actually talk about the comics themselves. Well, I don't really want to get into details because of spoilers, but I'll just say that issue 1 takes place between Sly 1 and 2. Issue 2, on the other hand, which is in my opinion the far more interesting one, takes place between Sly 2 and 3, and is in fact a very, very direct prequel to Sly 3. So if you haven't played Sly 3 already but are planning on doing so, maybe consider reading the comic first. The main gist of what happens in the comic is already going to be explained in Sly 3 itself, but in a much more condensed way. Essentially, by reading issue 2 you'll get to see what you will in the game just see as a little cutscene that vaguely explains what happens. In the comics you'll see it as the full actions and very concretely what's going on. It's a very interesting read, and I haven't met anyone who's read the comics before playing the game, so it could be an interesting thing to find out if you... I'm running out of air, whatever, you get the point. So that's the comics, but there's actually also 2 other separate pieces of literature related to Sly Cooper. The first of which is a 74-page novel based on the first issue comic. And by based, I mean it's actually an adaptation of the comic, and it's been slightly extended to my knowledge. I haven't read the book myself, but I might soon because I may or may not have ordered it on Amazon. The books are a whole lot cheaper than the comics, so those should be no troubles finding. I personally found them on the American Amazon.com. But strangely not the UK one, which would have been better for me because UK is closer to me and thus would have had faster shipping, but whatever. The second book is very different from the other ones, being a how-to-draw book for the different Sly Cooper characters. Kind of interesting, I guess. I've ordered this book as well, but haven't actually seen it yet because it hasn't arrived yet. But I imagine it is something like, here's a circle, draw some mouths, and draw the tail, and there you get Sly. Or something like that. That is everything I want to talk about in-game mechanics and things and secrets and whatnot, as well as physical things that have something to do with this game whatsoever. But there's one more topic that I've saved for last, and I can't believe I'm actually going to talk about it, but... I found this out very recently, and I don't know, this doesn't fit into the video at all, but I need to talk about it, because it justifies my jokes, and I can't believe it's actually true. Okay. The thing is, Murray, after everything I've said and after all the jokes I've made about hooking up or dating or flirting or whatever and things like that, between even the inside jokes I've had with friends playing this game and saying stupid shit about how Murray... I'm just gonna say it. Murray's gay. Or possibly bisexual, or demisexual, or multisexual, or whatever things are called now. Point is, he ain't straight, okay? And I'm not kidding. This is not just my silly little headcanon, as much as it might sound like it. It's been revealed during an interview with different Sly Cooper voice actors, among others Chris Murphy, who voiced Murray, that Murray's character description mentioned something about Murray's sexual orientation being experimental. Yeah, they actually detailed the character's sexual orientations. Their descriptions were apparently quite in-depth. So, Chris Murphy got his role for his pretty gay-sounding voice, but he was ultimately told to change it in the end, because whenever they would show these clips to test audiences, they would always just be confused about the voice, because Murphy's intention was that this is a big, pink, gay hippo, he needs to sound as flamboyant as he can, right? So it's like, "Hi, Sly, you need to..." Okay, I cannot do that, but I have clips I can give us examples.
And don't forget, you have me at the wheel, Sly. All you gotta do is grab the file and get back to the van. We'll do the rest. Way to go, Sly! You got it! If you come down the fire escape and head through the parking lot, we'll be waiting in the getaway van.
And when test audiences heard this, they just didn't get it. It apparently didn't sound gay enough. And that is honestly one of the funniest parts about this, because you often hear about video game characters being originally cast or supposed to be something kind of minority of any sort, and then it's eventually changed either in different translations or just in all versions and everything, because it was deemed too, well, anything. It could be deemed too weird, too taboo, too different, too non-commercially standard, basically. That's not the case here. There's never been any statement about Murray not being a different sexual orientation just because his voice isn't like that. I mean, I like to think that most people understand that gay people don't necessarily sound gay. It's kind of a stereotype that... Stereotypes exist for a reason, by all means. Not gonna say that nobody sounds like that, but... Anyway, my point is, they changed Murray's voice. It's obviously still Chris Murphy, as I said, but he sounds the way he does, which has nothing to do with sounding particularly gay or different in any sort of way. That kinda rhymed, kind of. And as such, Murray really is a very good example of gay representation. Because you don't know that he is. There's no indication of him being so, because usually in the real world you don't know that people are gay unless they say, "Hey, I like dudes." Or if you're trying to come on to them and they're like, "I don't like you, I like dudes." You know? Because, again, obviously stereotypes exist for a reason, and there's tons of people who are like, going up to every grandmother in the street being like, "Hey, I'm gay, respect me!" But, I don't know, I'm going on a bit of a tangent here. This is just stuff that I really find extremely interesting, and I had to fit it in the video somehow. But I mean, yeah, his voice was changed, but never was it stated that anything about his character was changed. It's just the voice. And as such, we have no reason to believe that he was turned straight. So, yeah. That's what I wanted to talk about. Yes, I saved this for last because it was truly the most important to me. Oh, think of all the fanfics that are now finally just one step closer to being canon. Oh my god, okay. Well, I hope you found that interesting. I know I did. This is honestly my best find ever. And with that, that is absolutely everything I could have to say about this game. And its characters, and its everything. So for the last time this series, thank you very much for watching this, and listening to my weird ramblings. I hope you have an excellent day forward, and take care.